Hi, everyone. This is Lynn Crawford with Hope Dementia Support, and we have the pleasure of having Melanie Goff from the Goff team of Keller Evening to talk about the challenges of downsizing when your loved one has dementia. Remember that you can ask questions either in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll see that they all get answered toward the end of the meeting. So, Melanie, it's all yours.
Great. Hello, everyone. I started talking to groups about this subject last year after I'm kind of on a mission to help people have a plan, knowing that they're going to retire and age, and at some point they're probably going to have to make a different decision about where they're living or the type of house or what accommodations within their current home they might need. And I really want people to have a plan for that before there's an emergency. Last year, I had at least 5 phone calls that sounded something like this. Melanie, we need your help. Grandma or my aunt or my mother or my dad or somebody has fallen and they've broken their hip, their back, their shoulder, whatever. And they are saying that they're not going to release them to go home. They can't go home. So in other words, I get the phone call when there's an emergency. And I really want people to have a plan before there's an emergency and preferably before somebody gets hurt. Add to that a loved one within the home that has dementia, and making that plan is even more important. So I do some volunteer work with Hope. I love working with this organization. And I wanted to really make this presentation have a lot of details about working with somebody within the home that has dementia when they're downsizing or moving to a safer space of some kind. So I'm Melanie Goff. I'm a senior residential specialist with National Association of Realtors and a senior relocation specialist with Keller Williams. And I'm going to just talk to you about making a plan and where to start with that. There's going to be a lot of ideas in here. I do free one-on-one appointments with people in their home to help them create a plan that's specific to them and their loved ones. So we can talk about that later. But for now, let's just go forward with this. Yes, this is who I am, and this is my presentation. So a lot of people have more questions than answers. So is it time to downsize or move a family member with dementia? Are you worried about yourself or a loved one not being safe in their current home? Are you wondering how to create a plan for the downsizing process? These are all the sorts of things we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to cover your perspective, being proactive versus reactive. The fact that you're here today, you're already being proactive. I love that. Some common disillusions. 5 conversations that are really important that you have with your loved ones and advisors. What are your senior living options? When should you move, or should you move at all? What legal documents do I need? What physical and emotional challenges might there be? How to reduce stress, downsizing tips, decluttering and preparing to move, and how to make a smooth transition. These are all the things we're going to talk about today. I love this comic, One Day Son, This Will All Be Yours. We've probably all seen or even been in this situation, and we laugh about it. But the reality is that this can be prevented, and we wouldn't have to work through it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So we all see the world from our perspective or view, and I would say most people spend time in all of these places, but some people tend to focus in one area. So people who live in the past that I know, and probably you've met some of these, they kind of live in their mind in the past. Things that happened to them, that were really important. They feel almost like they're still there. Certainly people with dementia, those are the memories that are strongest. Some people just live in the here and now. And then some people actually plan for and think about the future. So within that, there's two types of people, and you have a choice. Who do you choose to be? Proactive or reactive? Again, you're here, so that's awesome. Congratulations, you're being proactive. Reactive people, that is not a great place to be as you're aging. So let's see. Reactive people live in the past and they don't want to accept the inevitable. They don't make decisions. They just let life happen to them. They end up in emergency mode as they react to an issue that arises all of a sudden. This is those phone calls that I get. Unfortunately, then your loved ones have to come in and make decisions for you very quickly. Or maybe you're the loved one that's having to make those decisions very quickly. And this creates a lot of undue stress for both the person who's in the emergency and the ones that they love. So these are things that that I come in contact with all the time. I had a situation last year. Early in the year, I met with a lovely lady. She was a single older gal, and she really wanted to move someplace safer. She felt she had taken a couple of falls. She had an emergency button to call emergency services if she needed it. She'd had to use it at least once. But her daughter didn't want her to move to a safer home because she said that that home was her inheritance. So sometimes our family can almost get in the way of keeping us safe. And it's not like her daughter came in and said, well, let me get you some help in your home or something like that. She just said, no, you can't move. So the gal did not move. And later in the year, she took a more severe fall. She broke her back. And guess what? I got an emergency call that she couldn't come home. So we want to make sure that we don't end up in this reactive emergency mode. Instead, we want to be a proactive person. I love the difference in pictures, right? We're riding our bikes, waving our hand. That's not always the case, but proactive people accept the fact that they're not getting younger. They realize that at some point they're going to need some level of care in the future. They plan ahead so that the future is as smooth as it can be. There will still be bumps in the road, but as smooth as it can be. They act on their plan before an emergency arises. If I could only have helped that woman move into assisted living or get care in her home before the emergency arose. They age gracefully with minimal family stress. They protect their loved ones from the stress of caring for them or making those emergency decisions. And they allow their loved ones to live their desired life, and also for them to live their desired life. Some of the things that I've heard over the years that I think are common disillusions are that I'm okay and I won't need help. I feel great, right? I still have stairs. I climb up and down my stairs. They keep me young. I'm strong and healthy, and that is awesome. That does not mean that you won't ever need help. I'm going to live in my home forever. All the time I hear they're going to take me out of here in a box, right? I'll be in the same health condition until the end. I'm never going to get sick. I'm just going to go peacefully in my sleep one night. My kids will take care of me, which is great. If you've got kids that are going to do that, my spouse will take care of me. I don't have enough money to move. I'll be okay at home and I don't need help, right? So these are all of the reasons I hear that somebody doesn't need a plan for their home and where they're going to live in the future. What I would prefer is that these people have a conversation with their family or advisors about these 5 things. what happens if I need physical help, right? So physically, maybe at some point I need a walker. Maybe my heart is not in good condition. Maybe at some point I need some physical help. What do I want to happen when I get to that place? This is something you need to share with your advisors and the people that love you so that they understand your plan. What happens if I have cognitive or mental challenges? What happens if I get dementia, right? What do I want my family to do? What do I want my advisors to do, right? So plan for these things, have these conversations. How about emotional and social concerns, right? The gal that took the fall that I talked about, one of the things she also wanted was people around her. She was living by herself. She was very lonely. She didn't feel healthy enough to go to her church or go to her social groups that she used to be involved in. So basically, she was just home alone all the time. What do you want your people around you to know about that? What do you want your life to be? Maybe you love that. Maybe you want to be alone and left alone finally. Most people don't. Most people want some social interaction. What about financial? So are you talking to your CPA, your family about who can make financial decisions for you if you can't? What do you want your financial decisions to be? And then familial, right? So what kind of relationship do you want with your family going forward? I get a lot of calls from people who say, I'm retired. I want to move near my grandchildren, right? Great. So talk to your family about that. What does that look like? How do you know when it's time to move or to make a move? Again, it's not always about moving. Sometimes it's about altering the home you're in to make it safer or more comfortable. But these are the clues that most people get that their current home is no longer safe or comfortable. My home is too large now that the kids are gone, right? And that usually happens early in our retirement or even before we retire. So are you tired of all the yard work and all the housework? Are you done cooking and cleaning? Does your home have too many stairs? This is a biggie for people. And I wish that more people would move sooner because that is where a lot of accidents happen. Are you living alone and are you concerned about security? Or, like I said a minute ago, are you just lonesome and you'd love to have some social interaction and friends around you? So, in thinking about those questions that we just went over, would you like to make the decision about when and where your next move will be? Or do you want somebody to make that decision for you? So if you're a proactive person, you're setting up that plan ahead of time. If you're a reactive person, that decision is going to be made for you in an emergency. So my goal today for you guys is to make sure that the decision you're making about where your next move will be is a proactive one and that you're making it. I had a couple whose family, because of their health, kind of swooped in and moved them to a senior community very quickly and without a lot of dialogue. And when I helped the family sell that house, and when I met with this couple, they seemed fine with selling the house. They just thought everything happened very quickly. And the woman kept saying to me, "What happened to my organ?" She was an organist at her church, and that was something that was very important to her. And she had no idea what was going on with it. And the family needed to slow down and have that decision with her. And she needed to put her foot down and say, I have to make a decision about my organ, and I need you guys to listen to me. So it would be good if she'd had that conversation earlier, even years earlier with her family. I want my organ to be donated. I want it to, whatever her desire was. I only want to move to a senior community that I can bring my organ, right? So what was that decision was taken away from her. There's a lot of options for people who are trying to find someplace more safe or comfortable. You can move to a different kind of house. So for example, if you have stairs, moving to a house that doesn't have stairs, or a townhouse or a condo. If you're done with yard work, I just helped a retired gal move into a condo. You know, it had an elevator to the floor, all single level. She can leave and go visit her grandkids for 6 months out of the year if she wants, and it'll just be fine there. Some people, they just need someplace with and she doesn't have any yard work, but she has a beautiful interior garden that she can go visit whenever she wants, but no yard care. So what are you looking for? And that might mean moving to a different house or townhouse or condo. You can move in with family and ask them to care for you. We have quite a few people who join families with their kids or grandkids and move with them, Again, these are conversations that you have way in advance. So it's not like, surprise, somebody just got hurt, so now they're moving into your basement. Have those conversations ahead of time. I have actually quite a few people in the last few years who've bought a home knowing that someday their parent or a grandparent is going to come live with them. They actually bought a home that had space for them already because they'd had that conversation and they were planning ahead. Some people age in place at home and they bring care in. And care can take a lot of different avenues. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some people move to a retirement community, even an independent living community with all the food and cleaning and assistance and activities and all sorts of stuff. That socialization, people that you can interact with. And then some people actually transition into an assisted living kind of community or an adult family home or memory care, right? So there's a lot of different options for where people can go. And there's actually some options for paying for those things as well. One of the planning in advance situations can be looking into things like a HECM loan, which is a kind of the fairy godmother of reverse mortgages. Looking into what does it look like to have long-term care insurance, and when do you need to get that, and how much is it going to cost, and what will it actually cover? So those sorts of things are all part of your planning process. So moving to a different home, you know, a home that's more comfortable and safe and better fits your needs, right? That could just mean that it has a smaller yard. This is what I'm looking for. I keep bringing that up because I'm like, my final daughter is leaving for college this fall. And I'm like, whoa, I am so done with mowing my big lawn, right? So you can sell and buy or rent, right? You can move to a smaller home, a townhome, a condo with no stairs, wider halls, doors, safety features for aging in home, those fancy great walk-in bathtubs, which are amazing, with jets and all of that. Great. Looking for something that has a better use of space and maybe fits in with the available equity from your current home. Less stress, more manageable living environment, including a smaller home or yard. Do you want to be able to travel or go visit family or friends? Do you just want someplace that is safer, right? Or all of the above. So that's moving to a different home. Moving in with family. So this would be consolidating families, right? And moving in together. Sometimes this is a family or group of family members who move in with the retired person, right? Sometimes it's the retired person moving in with the family or friend. A lot of times, whichever direction that is, a lot of times we need some retrofitting of the current home. So if grandma is coming to live with me, I would need to put in grab bars and get rid of my throw rugs and do some other sort of safety-oriented things. How are they going to bathe? Are my doorways wide enough for her walker or her wheelchair? All of those sorts of things. Do I need somebody to come in and help me bathe her or take care of her? And then some people are adding an ADU or additional dwelling unit on their property. A lot of people have actually been doing this because our rules in Clark County have loosened up greatly on this in the last year even. Before that, it was kind of hard to get a permit for an ADU. Now it's a lot easier. So people are doing tiny houses or a manufactured home or adding on a little space. They're adding an additional dwelling unit for a loved one. So that's happening quite a bit. So that's the option of moving in with family. And again, we're going to go in more details on how to do this based on, or if you're moving with someone who has dementia. We'll go through some details of that. So aging in place, again, you may need to retrofit your home, right? Add the things that would make it safe and remove things that make it unsafe. I did have a gentleman who fell last year on a throw rug, right? So his toe caught that rug and over he went. So you need to, we have a list of things that you can do to make your current space safer and more comfortable. One of those things is decluttering, which we'll talk a little bit about in getting your house ready for sale. But I will just say that decluttering is really important in making your home safe as well. So aging in place might mean home care, home health services, adult day services. We're going to talk a little bit more about all this. So this is home care, bringing somebody in to help. And this is the social model. This is not somebody that needs medical help necessarily, or at least significant medical help. This is somebody that needs help with meal preparation and cleaning, and maybe using their wheelchair or getting them into their wheelchair, bathing, personal care, taking a bath, dressing, eating, continence, transferring, toileting, companion services, just somebody to come in and visit. Sometimes these people do limited health care, like checking vitals, temperature, managing medicine, and then they also can do transportation or escorting someone to a doctor's office, shopping, errands, picking up prescriptions. So a home care person can do any or all of these things. So maybe you're just lonesome and you just want somebody to come visit once in a while and maybe take you out for ice cream, right? So that would be like companion services. And maybe you get that a couple times a week, or to take you to, wherever you like to go, church or some sort of social meeting or whatever is important to you. So home health care, the clinical model, is where you actually need somebody who is a registered nurse, a skilled service provider. This is if you have any intrusion in your body, a tracheotomy, a feeding tube, an IV, any kind of wound care, basically anything that's open on your body that needs care. You're going to need your social model people cannot take care of you in that. Then you need an actually licensed person. A lot of people say, well, if I need that kind of person, Medicare will pay for it. Sometimes Medicare does pay for it, but your physician is going to have to write a prescription for it. Typically, it only covers so many days within a year. The person has to be declared homebound. In other words, they can't go for care. And long-term care insurance can also kick in on this, but you want to check with your home care or your long-term care insurance provider and read the small print, see what they cover. And typically Medicare or your long-term care insurance, if they cover it, it has to be with a licensed agency. So, these are the options. Obviously, the social model is significantly less expensive than if you're having to pay someone to come in. But neither of them are cheap. I had a couple just last month, they made their move to a senior living community over in Portland. The only help they needed was her husband, who had Parkinson's, needed help getting to the toilet 24 hours a day, right? So they were paying 24/7 for in-home care so that he could get to the restroom when he needed to. She was too frail to help him. And so we need to think about those things. And financially for them, it made a ton more sense to go to the senior community. Also, they wanted some socialization. They were just living alone other than their caregiver in their home, and they had always been very socially interactive people. So they were ready to get back to that as well. So it made financial and social sense for them to do that. So there's different kinds of, so we've talked about staying at home, moving to a safer home, and then we're going to talk about retirement communities. We have several in Vancouver and in Washington in general. They're all over the country, obviously. There are independent living, assisted living, and memory care. So retirement communities, they usually don't have a large entry fee or a long-term commitment. A lot of them have independent and assisted living services, and some even memory care. So you can kind of, maybe when you first move there, you're still independent. You can completely take care of yourself. You're just looking to not have to cook and clean or do the yard, and you want socialization. So you move into the senior community. And then as you age, maybe you need a little help. So you move into assisted living. And then some of them, if there are some memory issues, you can also move into memory care, either there or nearby. So kind of as you progress in aging. There's great big giant ones, like the couple that I just talked about moved to. And then there's little tiny ones, these adult family homes that are a great option if you're wanting a smaller, more home-like environment. And they typically have, 6 people who are living together in a home, and there is 24-hour care there. There's different levels of care depending on which family home you move to. So some people like the great big activity-based communities where they have, tennis and a swimming pool, or, lots of activities and things. Some people prefer the smaller, more home-like environment. So it depends on what you like. So, so when people are thinking about moving from their home to a senior community, the first thing that comes into mind is cost, and rightly so. They're not cheap. But one thing I just want to point out is all the things you won't be paying for anymore, and how much do you pay for those every month? If you add them all up, it does take kind of a chunk off of what they're asking for. So 3 meals a day, prepared and served, 24-hour security, maintenance and repairs to your apartment or unit or room, depending on where you are, all the utilities or selected utilities, it varies, activities, programs, entertainment, movie nights, and all of those sorts of things. And then usually some sort of fitness options, like a fitness center or a pool. I put library under fitness. I guess that's mental fitness. A lot of them have libraries. So in talking about having a plan, these are things that you need ahead of time. If you want to write this down or take a picture of it with your phone, you need a will, and you need to read it, especially like me. As I was just going back through my notes for this class today, I was like, my will was written before my daughter was born, and she is now leaving for college this fall. So when was it last updated? And is it specific? How about a trust? Have you talked to your attorney about the value of putting real estate property and other property in a trust? there is a huge advantage for that, and you should be talking to your attorney about that. Do you have a power of attorney, a durable power of attorney? Who is going to be your voice and sign your papers when you are not able to? Who is that person? And do you have it in writing? Has it been recorded? Has it been notarized? Do you have everything done to make sure that that is in place? Do you have an advance directive? So this is really important, and it does vary state to state depending on where you live. When you're talking about with somebody with dementia, especially if they're recently diagnosed, it's very important that these things, if they haven't been done, get done very, very soon before they lose their ability to make those decisions. You really need to understand. I met with my parents 2 years ago. My mom has dementia, and I wanted to have this conversation with her before she couldn't have it anymore. And I talked to her about how she wanted to have her body taken care of after she died. And that isn't a conversation that just normally comes up in everyday dinner conversation. And her answer and my dad's answer both surprised me. I would have never guessed what they wanted, but they live in Alaska. So I looked up the advance directive paperwork for the state of Alaska, which is different than here. And we went through it together step by step, and they gave me all their desires. So now I can make an informed decision, and my brothers can make an informed decision for them as they age and what they wanted to have happen. And that comes to the next point, which is have a conversation with the people that matter most. I would say it's probably good to choose the people that matter most. When my parents wanted to have this conversation, it was just me and my brothers and them. It wasn't our spouses and their grandchildren and the big group of people. It was the people that they knew were going to make the decisions for them. And so it can be a very wide open conversation if you want, or it can be with the people that matter most. And then who should you meet with? Make a list. Let's see, I'm going to go back here for just 1 second. So you're going to meet with your attorney probably, right? Your trust attorney, your elder care attorney. You're going to need some paperwork if you don't have it already. Okay. You're going to meet with your family and the other people or friends or whoever is the person that's going to be making decisions for you. You need to talk to the person who's going to be your power of attorney and make sure they want the job. Do not make a power of attorney. Do not make somebody who does not want the job your power of attorney. So talk to these people. Your CPA is going to be part of your plan, your financial plan. So you need these specialists. I have lists of these people. If you don't have them, or if you want to sit down and meet and tell me what you have and what you don't have, I can help you get to the people that can help you fill in the missing pieces. Okay, so let's just start with the general physical and emotional challenges of leaving a long time home. I'm not even necessarily talking about someone with dementia. I'm just talking about somebody who's older, retired, maybe elderly, maybe frail. Maybe they've lived in their home for 50 years, or maybe they've lived in their house for 5 years. But there are physical and emotional challenges in leaving a long time home. So every item and space may have a memory attached. Seniors have limited energy, right? So the couple that I told you about that just moved to the senior community, their family actually started trying to get them to move last summer. And they had them all set up. They had the estate sale set up. They had the movers set up. They had me come in. They had a senior move manager, which we'll talk about in a minute. Everything was set up for them. The day before the movers were supposed to come, they called me. I'm not a family member. I was just their real estate agent. They called me and they said, "We're not moving." I said, "Okay, what's going on?" They said, "We feel too rushed. We need more time." I said, great. Have you told your family? They said, no, we'd like you to tell them. So I had to call the daughter who'd spent hours planning all these people and scheduling all these people and just say, your parents have decided not to move right now. They want more time. That is what I mean, though, by you having a right to make the decisions for yourself. I was thrilled that they were willing to do that rather than being rushed into something where they were uncomfortable. So they needed a few more months, and then they called me and they said, okay, we're ready, right? So then we started the process again and we just got them moved. So seniors have limited energy. They didn't have time to go through everything. And they didn't have a lot of stuff like some people do. They wanted more time. They had limited energy. One thing to keep in mind as you're packing and all of that is that boxes and paper and stuff can be dangerous. People can trip over them, both when you're moving and when you unpack. So when you pack and when you unpack, you want to have people there to help you or to do it for you. Just go away and let them pack and unpack once you tell them the directions so that you're not tripping and falling. There is anxiety with a lot of seniors when they move to an unfamiliar space, especially if they've been in a space for a long time. I was just up visiting my mom for her 80th birthday earlier this month. And I said, Mom, I would love it if you and Dad, they live in Alaska, remember, would come down and live near me. I would love to be able to come see you every day. And she said, no. And I think that's because I was 2 years old when we moved into that house. My mom, as she's progressing in dementia and losing her memory, she is very comfortable in that house. There are many memories still there for her. She would feel very uncomfortable in a different space. So she let me know that. It may be that at some point we have to move her someplace that has memory care or something like that. But for now, she does not want to move. So there's a lot of anxiety in moving to an unfamiliar space. There can be sadness, especially if somebody feels like they're being forced, that it wasn't their decision. Or maybe they've lost a spouse or other loved one, and that's prompting their move. So there can be sadness around that. The feeling rushed piece. You can't rush seniors and have them not feel anxiety. So they don't want to feel rushed. Feeling like someone is taking control of your life. What happened to my organ? I don't know why. Nobody in their family asked her about that, but she felt like someone had taken control of her life. Her husband actually said to me, I don't really know what happened. They just picked us up one day and brought us here. So a lot of times family is trying to do the best they can in a short amount of time when they feel like a family member or a loved one is in danger. And so if you've had all these conversations ahead of time, they will know what to do, and it will be what you want them to do. They are nervous that you're going to lose track of important items. So I had a gentleman, he had Parkinson's, different gentleman, and his speech was affected. He didn't speak very well. He could speak perfectly clearly, but very slowly. And I was there at the house, and the senior move manager was there directing packing. And he said to me, I need you to find something. And I said, okay, what do I need to find? And he said, my award. And I said, okay, what does your award look like? Is it a trophy? And he shook his head. And I said, is it a plaque? No, he shook his head. Finally, he got out that it wasn't the actual award. It was a VHS tape of the awards ceremony of him winning a big award at his company that he worked for a long time. And I think, oh my goodness, the Packers are everywhere. There's, stuff everywhere. I said, do you know where it is? And he said, yes. And so it was in the garage on a shelf in something completely innocuous that you would never guess had VHS tapes in it. I was able to find that tape for him. That was the only thing he was concerned about making sure it moved to his new home, was that VHS tape. I don't even think he had a VHS player, but that was his award and it was important to him. So we need to help our loved ones not lose track of important items. And we, as the people who are maybe getting older, need to tell our loved ones what the important items are, so that they always stay with us. I've had older people that the most important thing was a quilt or a blanket. So keeping track of those things. And then another real emotional challenge for leaving a long-term home is deciding what to do with items and letting them go. So is it an item that's really important? Or is it an item that you think you might need someday? Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So moving from a long-term home to moving with someone who has dementia, and maybe it is somebody who doesn't have dementia with their spouse or loved one who does, or maybe it's just someone with dementia and they're being helped by their family to make a move. But what I've experienced seems to work the best are these things, and I'm going to just go through them. Having a trusted friend or relative that is with that person during the moving process. Removing the person with dementia from this very active, anxiety-strewn situation to someplace comfortable. Can you take them to a family or friend's home where it's peaceful and quiet? Or can you take them on an outing, right? While all this packing and stuff, the movers are there, is happening. So can you remove them from the situation? I like to have them schedule a photo shoot ahead of time. And the photo shoot is to take pictures of people, items, memories, things that are important to them, and put pictures of them into an album. They are not going to be able to take everything in their current house with them to their next place if they're downsizing. That's the whole idea of downsizing, is you don't have enough space for everything that you have now. So those things that are really important, can we photograph them, put them in an album to help them remember them later? I like to move the person with dementia first, bringing their most important items. So maybe you're bringing their furnishings, their clothing, the important items that because they had a plan ahead of time, they've told you what's important to them. You're bringing those things to their new home, whatever kind of home that is. And then you're dealing with everything else. So you're going to get them settled. And then you're going to make a big mess and pack everything up and sell stuff and do whatever you need to do, right? So move that person first. Have conversations early in the process to help determine what would be really important for you to take to your next home. So even people with dementia oftentimes can have this conversation in bits and pieces. So ask them. If it's too late and you didn't have this conversation before they were well down the road of their disease, still ask them. In the moment, they might have an opinion, and you should honor that. Another thing to help remember is what brings them comfort. I know that hope sometimes helps people with babies or mechanical pets like dogs and cats. Do those things bring them comfort and they're familiar with them now? Make sure those go with them, or make sure whatever it is in the home that brings them comfort goes. And then also things that help them remember. What if it's a photo album, if it's, I had one gentleman that was a violinist. He had dementia, and but he didn't lose his ability to play the violin until very late in the disease. So we want to make sure things like that go with him. So what helps them remember? Things like that you've determined. So those should go also. So these things will help reduce the stress for the person with dementia. So order of events, doing things in a good order. Get moved. This is the order that seems to work the best for people who are retired, seniors, people with dementia in general. If there's a way to get moved to the new place with everything you want first, that is best. I completely understand that that is not always possible. For example, if somebody's downsizing from a 2-story house to a 1-story house, but they need the equity from their current home to buy the next one, this doesn't necessarily work, although there are ways to make that work. And I could talk to you about you individually if you wanted that. But if there's a way to move, if let's say you're moving to a senior community, if you can move all the stuff in there that you want, have a family discussion and removal of those items first, and then you're going to have a family discussion and remove the items that your loved ones want that are left over. So you've taken everything you want to your new house, and you've said to your family, is there anything here you want? Don't be surprised if they don't want your stuff. Okay, so people are all of a sudden, all the time, they're shocked that they don't want a handcrafted doily that your grandmother made, or your china, or your furniture. So that's not meant to offend you. Just be aware that they might not want it. My dad, every time I go home to visit, or one of my kids, his grandchildren come, he gives them a pad of sticky notes and he says, put a sticky note on the back of anything you want. So throughout this house, on the back of things, there are sticky notes from grandchildren and children with things that are important to them. All the other stuff, not important. So we get you moved, then we have the family take the stuff they want. Then you have an estate sale or some sort of sale, or you give the things to somebody who's going to sell the remaining items. And then you clean and prepare the home for sale. Okay, here's a few downsizing tips. So Matt Paxton is an amazing guy. I've met him. I've heard him talk. He was the person on the television show called Hoarders. So he really understands getting rid of stuff at a high level. He introduces something called a 10-minute sweep. And I love this idea for seniors who don't have a lot of energy and they feel overwhelmed with all their stuff and everything that's going on. And what he says is every day, if you take 10 minutes and work on one little piece of one room, and you decide whether you're going to keep, donate, or discard that whatever's in that one little space, and you do that for 10 minutes every day, you would be amazed the progress you make in a month. He suggests starting in the bathroom because there are fewer emotions in the bathroom. When you're going through other rooms, a lot of times it's a much slower process because items come up with memories. But in the bathroom, not so much. So start with that. Is there half a bottle of Pepto-Bismol that's been there since 1992? We can throw that away, right? So just start with those sorts of things. So set up some decluttering rules. 20-20 rule for maybe items. Getting rid of anything that would take less than 20 minutes and $20 to replace. Okay. I love this idea, even for myself. Focus on one space or one room at a time. And I like the idea of actually starting in the room that already looks the best. It's easier and it makes you feel really accomplished when you get that room ready. Measure furniture and your new space, leaving room for a walker and a wheelchair if needed, before you decide what to bring. And there's actually people that can help you with that, which I'll talk about in a second. The sort system, so SORT. Number one is S, and that stands for sell any items of value. There's lots of ways to sell things. There's consignment stores. There's Facebook Marketplace. If you don't understand how to use Facebook, people can help you. You can have a garage sale. You can have an estate sale. So selling items of value, okay? You can offer things to your family, to your church, or a charity, right? So you can donate things. You can keep things to take with you. This is the pile or the items that are going to go to your new home with you. And then you can throw things away. Feel free to throw things away. So tips, work through one room at a time, starting with the easiest and least cluttered. And again, you can do 10 minutes a day. You can do 20 minutes a day. You can do 40 minutes a day. Whatever your energy level, just set a goal for yourself for each day and a certain time of day. Box up and label your paperwork for review after your move. Okay. Paperwork is the #1 thing that causes incredible slowdown in getting decluttered, right? Because people want to look at every piece of paper in every pile, in every box, in every drawer in their house. So here's what I say. If you can throw it away like it's a pile of newspapers or magazines, put it in the recycle bin and be done with it. If it looks like it could be even slightly important, put it in a box with handles, right? Get a file box. They work great. They have handles and lids. Just stack all your papers in them. Don't even look at them. If you haven't looked at them in 20 years, you don't need to look at them right now, okay? Put them in the box. Of course, keeping track of really valuable things, right? Your will, right? Your checkbook, your important things that you use day to day and month to month currently. That, of course, stays out and stays visible so you can find it. Everything else gets boxed up, and you're going to have all the time in the world you need to go through that when you move to your next location, okay? So then you take out one box at a time, and you have a goal to go through that box in a week, and you just go item by item, recycle, keep, give to someone, but you can do that later. Otherwise, you end up with an even bigger mess of papers everywhere. So important papers that you need and you use day to day and month to month currently, you leave those where they are for now. All the other papers get put in a box with a lid and a label, papers to review at new home, tape it up, and it gets set in the closet or aside out of the way where you can't trip over it until you get to your new place and you unpack and you have it in the closet and you go through one at a time. And then in the end, the goal is to leave 3 items or less on any surface. Okay, that's the goal. 3 items or less on any surface. Adding value to your home. I just want to talk about, since we're talking about working with people with dementia a little bit, as we're decluttering. Be aware that if you are doing this in a home with someone with dementia, it can be kind of a flurry of activity for them. So this might be the type of thing that you do when they're resting, or when they're out with a friend or family member, unless they want to help you, right? So be aware that this can also create tripping hazards if you're not careful. So the goal is to sort things into piles, but you don't want to leave piles where people can fall over them. And you don't want to create such a flurry of activity that your loved one with dementia is wondering what the heck is going on and has a lot of anxiety. This is why we're doing these sorts of activities early. We have a plan for this to do this now, not a year from now or 2 years from now or in an emergency. Simple things to increase your home's value. The #1 thing you can do to increase your value is to declutter. That's the #1 thing. People want to be able to see what they're buying. And if all they can see is your stuff, they can't picture their stuff in the house, right? So declutter, depersonalize. If there's important pictures, photographs, family pictures, bubble wrap them, box them up, put them someplace safe. Then a deep clean. I always say that doing windows and cleaning windows and flooring, carpets or hardwoods right before is the last thing you want to do right before a move. But before that, you want to give it a good scrub. And, you know, a lot of people just hire somebody to go and do that kind of deep clean, or hire someone for their loved one that they're helping. Simple updates. If you want to put money into making your house look really beautiful and selling for a little more, some simple staging things that make a big difference are updates such as more current window coverings, throw pillows, fixtures and bed coverings, little things, especially, you know, like your faucet in your bathroom, if it's gotten kind of corroded and you clean it all the time, but it never looks clean. Those aren't very expensive, and, you know, usually a loved one or a plumber even can put it in pretty inexpensively. Paint goes a long ways. If you can freshen up a wall. Again, if you've already moved and then you're able to get your house for sale, that's great. You can get all your stuff out and then you can clean it good. And if you need to paint a wall, you can. Obvious repairs. If you know something is materially wrong with your house, structurally wrong, if the roof is bad, if you've got mold in the attic, water in the crawl space, which is about 50% of the houses in our county have either mold in the attic or water in the crawl space or both, those are going to come up in an inspection. They're going to be something that has to be dealt with later. Why not take a look ahead of time and get it taken care of ahead of time if you're selling? How's your siding? You know, things that are obvious repairs. Did you have, so in my house right now, I had a roof leak about a year ago now. And I still haven't fixed the little spot on the ceiling. I need to just get some paint, ceiling paint, and cover that up. So, you know, have you done those little repairs? Yard cleanup, pruning and fresh plantings. If you don't feel like doing that, a yard person can come in and just do a freshen up for sale, a one-time thing. So these are just little to no money for these sorts of things, depending on, you know, what needs to happen. So one of the people that I love in this industry of working with seniors and helping them with moves or setting up their current home is a senior move manager. These are professional people who meet with you similarly to what I do, except that they are actually there with you every step of the way, planning, scheduling, coordinating the details of your move, helping you declutter, helping you downsize, helping you decide what you'll want and need to take. So for example, they will measure the place you're going to and measure what you have. They keep like a little floor plan, and they can tell you that sofa's not going to fit in the new place, right? I think you need to take the love seat instead, or you're not going to need throw rugs. They're not safe anyway, right? So they're going to be able to help you make some of those decisions. They're going to help you get all your personal items off the property and to the new place. Here we go. Create a floor plan for your new home. They're going to oversee packing, moving, and most importantly, unpacking. You want all the packing material to be moved. The last thing you want to do is be very proactive, moving before you get hurt, making all these great decisions, and then you get there and trip over a packing box and break something. So they help you get unpacked and settled and then pull you in. My couple that just moved to Oregon, their senior move manager, the packers came in, packed everything up, moved it to the new place. Meanwhile, they are out on an outing with their daughter that day. The unpackers come, unpack everything, put it all away where they were instructed to put it, because the senior move manager has met with them and said, where do you want everything in the new place? They visited there. They knew where it goes. Help them unpack all the boxes, all the paper, all the bubble wrap's gone, clean floors, and they move in and everything's put away. So they set up your new home. They remove tons of transition stress. So this is a great helper. that you can hire to do this sort of thing. So local resources that you might find handy, either moving in general or moving with someone with dementia. So CDM or other adult day services. If your person with dementia gets in the habit of going to one of these places once a week or a couple days a week for socialization and to have fun, then when it comes time to pack up, move, do all of these things, and my instructions were to remove them from that anxiety-filled situation, you could just do it on their normal Wednesday visit to adult day services, right? So Hope Dementia Support and Resources is a great resource for whatever you need in working with your person with dementia. A placement agency. So if you're looking, if you just want to know, like, what senior communities have availability, or which ones have both independent living and assisted living, or who has memory care open, a placement agency can help you with that. Senior move manager, I just talked about. A trust attorney. It's my opinion as a realtor that nearly everybody should have their real estate and other items of significant value in a trust, rather than just have a will. This is obviously something you should talk to a trust attorney about. That is not my area of expertise. I just know who things have gone the easiest for when they needed that. Your CPA or financial advisor is going to come into play as you're making your plan. Senior real estate specialist, that's me. I love to be part of making these plans. And me as a senior real estate specialist, I only get paid if you give me the opportunity to help you sell your house. Other than that, I'm just an advisor. I'll come meet with you. I'll give you information on who you should be talking to for different things. I just want to make sure that I'm not getting an emergency call, that I'm helping you ahead of time. And then movers, packers, and estate sale reps. There are movers and estate sale people who really specialize in working with seniors, which is great. Making it a smooth transition. So know where you or your family members are going. What's the decision you and your family made, right? Have you talked to them about, what if I can't physically take care of myself? What if I can't mentally take care of myself? What if I get really lonesome? Here's what I want you to do, right? Here's what I need your help helping me do. Discuss with the people that matter to you. Pace yourself and give yourself time, the time you need, right? My couple who said, no, we're not moving tomorrow. We're not ready. Okay, great. Pace yourself. They should have said that much earlier in the process. They should have told their family, no, that's not going to be enough time. But they did put their foot down eventually, which was great. So start. If you didn't start on this process yesterday, today is the next best day, right? So start on your plan today. Decide what will happen to the important items that can't be taken to your next home. Have that discussion with your family, knowing at some point we're going to need to downsize and the organ can't go with me, right? Or what is important in your home that you want to make sure goes to somebody important, is donated to a certain organization, whatever it is. One of the things that comes up in this situation a lot is art. So if you have artwork or sculpture or things of value or even just sentimental value like that, where do you want them to go? Because you will have fewer walls if you're downsizing. Surround yourself with a team of skilled advisors and helpers, including CPA, financial advisor, attorney, trust attorney, elder care attorney, medical professional, insurance specialist, realtor, senior relocation specialist, and then make sure somebody else unpacks and sets up your new home. If you are really particular about how you want your house set up, I completely understand. That would be me. Your job is going to be sit in a chair in the middle of the room and tell people where to put things and not move until it's all put away and all the stuff is out of the way, right? So you can be there, just don't move until there's nothing to trip over. So like I said, I do free private strategy sessions, goal setting sessions, planning sessions with people. I'd be happy to put any of you on my calendar and have this discussion. I know when I did this last year, I met with a few of you and it was wonderful. And I want to discuss your specific situation, your goals, and then help you strategize on what your timeline looks like for creating a plan and who you need to help with that. So this is my name, Melanie Goff, and phone number and email. So feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you got something out of this. What I don't want you to do, though, is to feel really overwhelmed by everything that I just said. The goal is really to start the plan. And then me or another loved one, somebody else you care about, can come in and say, all right, here's the next step in the plan. Okay, we've done this. Now we need to do this part, right? It doesn't have to be all at once. The whole goal of being here is that you're being proactive and you're starting now to make sure you have a good plan. So hopefully that was helpful. Lynn, are there any questions? I don't know how long I was supposed to go.
We don't have questions in the chat or in the Q&A, but if anyone wants to raise their hand, I'll actually allow them to talk. Sometimes that's easier for people.
Okay.
So I just need to see a hand come up. What I'm seeing is great information, great program.
Thank you. I see all these lovely appreciations, so thank you.
I'm an elder that doesn't feel elderly. I've got documents from 20 years ago. I better get started.
Nah, documents, throw them in a box. 20 years from now, they still might not be important. So, yeah.
So if it's okay with you, Melanie, I will send these slides out.
Mhm.
And we do have a recording, and it will be on our YouTube channel shortly. And of course, we have your information, and it's okay for people to call you.
Absolutely. Please call me. I see a little note from Susan. She said, I hear there are elder lawyers here who specialize in elder law. Yes, there are. I think at least one of them has done a presentation for Hope. Was that Joshua Pops?
Joshua Pops has done presentations for us frequently. There are other elder law attorneys in town.
Yep.
And that's basically what people need to look at is estate planning or elder law. And we can send out a list of those because, of course, we really cannot make recommendations, but we can certainly send out lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a good trust attorney that I can recommend as well if you're thinking about putting your stuff in a trust. So, oh, am I not supposed to do that? I guess I need a list.
Yeah, lists work. Lists work.
Yeah, list would be great. Awesome.
So does anyone else have any other comments or questions?
I answered them all. That's amazing.
Well, this is such a great presentation. We appreciate it so much.
Oh, well, you are very welcome. You are very welcome. It's lovely talking to all of you.
I see that somebody had never heard of senior move managers. That's a good thing to know about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm in a different state and I really appreciate the information. So
yeah, the information is universal. It goes to any state. It works for anybody. So that's good.
That is really nice.
And if somebody is in a different state and they need a senior relocation specialist, somebody who has that certification and can meet with them, I do have partners, I think, in pretty much every state. So feel free to reach out to me and ask for a recommendation in your town.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, if no one else has questions, so I will grab onto your time a little bit to remind everybody that we do these education presentations once a month on the last Tuesday of the month. And next month it will be related to palliative care and hospice and end of life care for people who have dementia. The other thing to know about is that we are starting our new series that we call the Meet Me At series on May 10th with Meet Me at the Movies, and that will be at the Kiggins Theater on the 10th at 1 p.m. And you can either get tickets online from the Kiggins, or you can actually buy tickets at the door. And it's especially for our folks who have dementia and their care partners. And the lights will be up a little bit, and there will be the words to the songs on the screen, and all of our movies will be the vintage musicals, and we're starting with Singing in the Rain.
Oh, how fun.
So yeah, we're very excited about it, and it's going to be lots of fun. And then on the 15th of May, we will have something called Meet Me at the Museum, where we will be meeting at the Clark County Historical Museum at 9:30 in the morning. And they will have folks that, an especially selected display to show off for people. And the idea, of course, is that we can have socially engaged events for people who have dementia, make our communities a little bit more dementia friendly.
That's awesome.
So thank you so much, Melanie.
You are welcome.
Heard it before,
Lynn.
and I love hearing it. Learn something every time.
Lynn, I did see 3 hands that were raised.
You did. That's funny
Mhm.
because I did not. Okay, let's let me check and see if I can find them.
It looks like Ralph has his hand raised and Kathy.
Okay, there we go. Okay, we'll start with Ralph. You can talk.
I have a question. What happens if I have a neighbor, they're 88 and 94, and their kids are in bad health, and they're seniors too. And they wanted me to actually do a lot of like what you were talking about. I don't feel comfortable because of the kids that are still alive,
I think that the best thing to do would be to, well, I could meet with them, and you're welcome to be there, or their kids are welcome to be there, so we can come up with a plan, right?
Okay.
So they need to come up with an order of events and a plan and know where they're going. It's great that they're reaching out for help at this point for somebody to help them make a plan. So I meet with those kinds of people and just see where they are, where they want to go. Sometimes we can help their current situation become safer and more comfortable, and sometimes they would be more comfortable moving. So we just talk to them and see what it is that they want. Do either of them have dementia?
I think his wife is getting it. She's 94.
Yeah,
And
so a little memory loss.
A little memory loss, but she remembers like the neighbors that come over and stuff like that. But
That's
there's
good.
other stuff that she doesn't remember after 5 minutes after saying it,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so that would be, I mean, those are the types of people that I meet with, that I want to meet with while they can still make decisions and they're still physically healthy enough.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 6 months. I've been helping them get their final, affairs with the funeral things and all that done. So
yeah, if they want to, if you or they want to reach out to me, I'll be happy to just make an appointment to come by and see where they are in the process and what we can do to get them a plan made.
That's in Vancouver area. So would that be in their house or?
Yeah, usually I meet with them in their home because I need to see what we're talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Kathy Steiger, I saw your hand up. Did you had something to say?
You might have to turn your mute off, Kathy.
Well, she took her hand down, so perhaps she
Oh.
didn't need to.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I think. So Julie, unless I miss somebody else, I think we're good. Thank you all for being here. This is a great presentation.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Yep, bye.
Thanks, Mel.
Bye-bye.